Hello, my name is Peter Head. I'm a chartered civil and structural engineer and spent a lifetime in planning, designing and implementing infrastructure projects in city regions all over the world. I now chair Resilience Brokers, an organisation I founded in 2011 to help you all take a systems approach to improving city resilience and sustainability. I learned through my professional work that we don't really have the tools to enable all the different sectors to work together. For example, renewable energy and water for pumping and treatment, the electrification of public and private transport, houses that can gather their own electrical energy and charge electric vehicles, agriculture that combines energy harvesting with water management. All these new solutions are really no good unless we reduce risks from flooding, from heat, pollution and disease spread, which can often best be done with nature-based solutions. We're usually not investing in reducing these long-term risks, but rather just reacting to disasters when they come along. And we're all feeling that burden very much at the moment with the current pandemic. The UN Secretary-General said recently, "If I had to select one sentence to describe the state of the world, I would say we're in a world in which global challenges are more and more integrated and the responses are more and more fragmented, and if this is not reversed, it's a recipe for disaster." So, today I'm going to tell you about some promising ways that could enable you to reverse this fragmentation, reduce long-term costs, and find more resilient development paths to reach the global goal targets. I was a member of the advisory board that helped to write the 2019 Global Assessment Report GAR 19. This report sets out how well we're doing in moving from responding to and managing unfolding disasters to realising we need to embrace living with uncertainty and move to invest in prevention of the most critical risks that a region is facing. The report found that national and local disaster risk management agencies are already set up in most countries to manage risk from individual hazards. The next big step for them will be to harmonise strategies and efforts vertically between national, regional and local government scales and horizontally across sector disciplines to understand and reduce systemic cascading risk. Many studies have shown that informed investment in risk reduction can realise a long-term benefit, with a benefit to cost ratio of between 5 and 20 to 1 at all these scales. Typically, if the long-term economic and social impact on a region of a flood was around $10 billion, then spending $1 billion now wisely on risk reduction would really be worth it, especially if this spending was integrated into spending on transformations that are needed to deliver the global goals. Here is an illustration of how holistic thinking and modelling is needed to understand, value and reduce cascading systemic risk. At the top of the cascade, we know that our ability to deal with current stresses is being gradually undermined by pressures to increase agricultural production to keep pace with population growth and migration. As new stresses occur, such as droughts and floods, and maybe simultaneously in several locations, a tipping point can be reached where markets become volatile and conflicts start to occur between communities, maybe over water. This could then in turn tip into systemic breadbasket failure, causing food insecurity, migration, currency and political destabilisation, riots, civil unrest and even war. Modelling and scenario testing is needed to build an understanding of these risks and how to reduce them. Models need to embrace Earth, region and local scales. The way to do this is to turn the floods of data that we're gathering into wisdom. We have been members of a large collaborative effort to explore how to do this over the last 10 years. It brings together groups who've gathered data and built supercomputer models of the atmosphere for greenhouse gas emissions and temperature, for weather and predicting the tracks of storms, and for flood risks for river catchments and so on. The International Centre for Earth Simulation Foundation in Geneva have coordinated this effort, and with quantum computers it will be possible to use satellite and ground data to build a single Earth model linked to systems models of regions. These will have a human and ecological systems layer, a resource flow layer resulting from their interaction, and a dashboard showing how investment scenarios can deliver critical goals for resilience and sustainability. These regional models will be able to share data seamlessly with the Earth model and receive predictions of future Earth-scale risks to scenario test disaster and cascading risk. Artificial intelligence will be able to run millions of cases to find resilient development paths. The data from the systems model will then be able to be fed into regional planning tools like this one from GAR in Holland to inform mobility, land use, energy investment, food resilience, job creation and employment, and how to improve human health. Now to conclude, let me give you a bit more detail on the regional modelling layers I mentioned earlier. The systems layer for daily, monthly, annual community life is a dynamic agent-based model which provides information about future service needs such as mobility, energy and water, and includes details of demographics, employment, family sizes and health characteristics of typical residents and visitors. The resource flow layer models the infrastructure and ecological systems using digital twins for their processing capabilities, and for infrastructure, their construction and operational costs. This model layer can be assembled by local teams mounted on their GIS local maps, with relevant digital twins downloaded from an open library of 200 models representing all the typical human and ecological systems. This will show how services can be provided. The design task, through scenario planning, is then to match supply and demand of services in the future, taking account of increasing multiple risks across different scales, in accordance with the Sendai framework. It's been estimated by the World Bank in their Beyond the Gap report that taking such a smart systems approach could reduce total investment needs by as much as 40%. The European Union has decided to build a full Earth systems model to support risk assessment in delivery of the Green Deal to reach net zero carbon by 2050. China is also building a full Earth model. So there's a real possibility of this approach starting to be made available over the next 5 years. This will initially require supercomputers to be modified to use the non-von Neumann architecture. Then within 10 to 15 years, quantum computers can take over. So to conclude, I hope I've illustrated how it's going to be possible in the near future to reverse fragmentation, reduce long-term costs, and find more resilient development paths for reaching the global goal targets by 2030.